$1 billion in marijuana sales in Oklahoma. It is a green gold rush. However, as marijuana businesses grow, so do complaints. 2 Works for You investigates how complaints are handled, and Mason Morrow discovers why some say their concerns aren't getting quick attention.
It's going to get worse. It's not going to get any better.
Carolyn Dobrinsky and her husband Calvin live off an old beaten path in Bristow. For more than 30 years, the couple and a handful of neighbors have lived in the Creek County's countryside without issue. Then they claim some out-of-towners moved in across the street.
This is our home. We don't want to live in a place that looks like that.
The Dobrinskys tell 2 Works for You they voted to approve the grow and sale of medical marijuana back in 2018. 2 years later, a licensed grower bought this property in their neighborhood and built a grow facility in the backyard. During the warm seasons, the Dobrinskys claim their new neighbors operate an outdoor grow.
All of us were talking about it.
According to the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority, this cannabis grow business is just one of 74 licensed growers in Bristow and one of about 7,000 across all of Oklahoma. The OMMA is in charge of enforcing regulations against each and every one.
It's a lot to wrap around, but we've been strengthening those relationships and working together very well.
Dr. Kelly Williams, the program's director, says the OMMA only had 60 days to get up and running after medical cannabis was legalized. She admits her agency is playing catch up to visit and inspect every grow business in the state. Right now, the OMMA only has 1 compliance coordinator and 4 field inspectors running down the cannabis checklist for all those sites.
There's still a lot of regulatory teeth that we lack.
But her agency isn't the only line of defense against bad actors in the bud business. The Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics cracks down on illegal activity among marijuana growers and processors.
Right now, our top priority will be the criminal complaints, whether that's coming from a competing business or a neighbor across the street.
Dobrinsky's complaint falls under OBN jurisdiction. The agency requires each outdoor grow to house its plants behind an 8-foot-tall barrier wall. If the marijuana flowers are within eyesight from a neighbor's yard, the fence must block the view.
I can't say that's a privacy fence at all.
It's still unclear if that grower is in violation of OBN standards. There were no plants outside when I was there, but Dobrinsky tells me there were back when she initially filed a complaint about 10 months ago. The OBN tells me they get about 4 or 5 complaints like this one per week, but complaints about criminal activity at sites get investigated before issues like hers. Mason Morrow, 2 Works for You.
Mason says the OMA is in the process of training 11 more compliance inspectors, and their goal is to get out and inspect every grow facility this year.
Oklahoma state legislator is looking to cap a budding industry, medical marijuana.
That measure would direct the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority to limit the number of dispensary, processor, and grower licenses.
KTN's Bailey Bates joins us to break down the bill and share reaction from licensees. Bailey.
Oklahoma medical marijuana licensing began in August 2018, and already Oklahoma is one of the top states in the nation in the number of cannabis dispensaries. You look at Bryan County, especially Durant, it seems like there is a shop on every corner. This proposed bill could halt that.
In the Sooner State, medical marijuana is seemingly everywhere.
There's more dispensaries than there are loves, and there's a lot of loves.
Oklahoma's medical marijuana market is flooding the state. But is there enough demand for the growing supply?
With the market as it is, the prices just continue to go up and fluctuate as new licenses are issued.
Many believe the marijuana market is headed towards oversaturation.
There's just other businesses that open, so it might seem like there's a lot more, dispensaries than there are actual patients.
Oklahoma state legislators are working to avoid a crash. House Bill 2272 would limit the amount of commercial medical marijuana licenses allowed in Oklahoma for the next 2 years. Currently, the Sooner State has more than 10,000 active licenses. The bill would cap it at 8,000. Breaking the licenses up by category, 2,000 or fewer dispensaries, number of processors 1,000 or fewer, and the total number of grower licenses 5,000 or fewer.
What I don't like is whenever we have the state getting involved with telling you like, hey, you can't have this business, right? Like that's not what this country's about.
It's for them not to have an opportunity when others, of course, when they came in, they had the opportunity.
Each license would have 18 months to show it's active. Current dispensary owners believe with how successful the market is, it should be no problem.
The legislation passed the Oklahoma House and is now headed to the state Senate. If passed and signed into law, it will remain in effect until September of 2023. Live in studio, Bailey Bates, KTN.
The Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority now enforcing a new statewide tracking system for all licenses. KTN's Bailey Bates explains how it works and why the state says it's needed.
The new system is a way to track the plant from seed to sell, all the way through the growth cycle, from an immature plant through the harvest cycle, and then all of the way to a dispensary or a processor. The Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority, or OMMA, cracking down on the state's product, now requiring all licensees to be on one tracking system called Metric.
It's good because there are so many issues with theft within the system from the very start to the very end that I think it'll kind of help sway that, because now it's going to be more kept up with.
All products of Oklahoma medical marijuana have to be tracked, whether it's being grown, processed, transported, tested, or sold.
The state can keep track of where all the actual marijuana in the state is, and it will help prevent a lot of the black market that's starting to crop up.
Each plant or package individually tagged. Not only does this help the growers, processors, and dispensaries, it also benefits the customers at the very end of the cycle.
The customer knows that what they're buying is legit.
The metric system is replacing the mandatory monthly reports businesses have been sending to OMMA, making it easier and more accessible. But it also helps keep medical marijuana safe and businesses in compliance with the laws.
I think it's going in a pretty good direction here in Oklahoma. They're being pretty consistent. They see issues and they're getting them corrected.
Just another way to get a better hand on the budding industry. Reporting for KTN News, I'm Bailey Bates.
The deadline for licensees to comply with the metric system in Oklahoma is April 30th.